Voice of Victory TV, leading souls to Christ.
It is yet another day. We want to welcome you all with a series of youths talk today, Sunday again. We want to thank God who has allowed us to be accounted a minister living. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. There are others that long to see this day. They couldn't get it. But glory be to God that God has been faithful. He has made us see this day. I am your host, Pastor Mulunda Chihoko. I am not alone. I'm with my friend and the pastor. Kindly greet the audience and say hi to them. Tell them, who are you?
Greetings to our viewers. I would love to welcome you all to yet another program of the youths today on this beautiful Sunday. All glory and honor goes to God for giving us yet another privilege to be counted amongst the living. This is what I always say. We are not here today because we are good people who've been doing some good stuff in our lives, but we are here because of the grace of God. And I want to invite all of you to stay tuned and listen to some of the ideas that we have on how we can help our youths in the different challenges that we are experiencing in as youths growing up in this 21st century today. I'm by the names Jonathan Kayaya. Thank you so much, and stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Pastor Kayaya, for welcoming us on board today. On this beautiful day, we are looking at issues or challenges young people or youths are facing in the 21st century, and the number of them that we discussed last time, we dwelt much on relationship and others. And today we have the few that we want to look into and discuss and find out how best we can overcome, how best we can handle them, and how best they can help us grow, either spiritually or socially in all spheres of life. We have a number of few that we will discuss today. We have how we want to look at how education disturbs us and how it challenges us and how it puts pressure on young people and youths in our generation now. And we want to look at drugs. We didn't exhaust everything last time we were here. We want to see how drugs has been a challenge, has been an issue to young people, as if that is not enough. We also want to look at peer pressure, which is broad and wide. We want to see how peer pressure has affected a number of young people. And look, Pastor Kayaya, looking at what we are having today on table, education, looking at peer pressure and drugs. What is your take, and how do you think such things can help in a nutshell? How do you think these things can help a young person like me out there?
Well, yeah, those are quite a number of things that we need to look at, and looking at the time that we have, I don't know if we'll be able to exhaust almost everything that we need to talk about today, but allow me to say this first. Most of the times, oftentimes, let me put this across to my fellow youths out there. I want us to understand that the God that we worship cares about every aspect of our lives.
Okay.
Not only does He care about our spirituality, no, He cares about our education, He cares about our social life, and so everything that affects us, God cares about it. And that is why in Acts chapter 1 verse 8, when Jesus says, and I will give you and I will send you the Holy Spirit, and ye shall receive power. You see, the power that is being talked about is not only the power to overcome our spiritual problems, but it is also the power to overcome our economic problems. It is also the power to overcome our social challenges that we are facing as young people today. So we have the power in our hands to overcome almost everything in our lives that we encounter. And yet today we have youths, especially in the aspect of education. We have people that are not really interested in being educated, because some of us have come to believe that education is actually evil. And I know a few friends of mine that have dropped out on the way in school because they have become too religious to think as if education is not necessary in their lives. But for as long as we are on this planet, we need to utilize education to the fullest, to the maximum, because education helps us a lot. Last time when we spoke a bit about education, I had this to say that education liberates us. As African youths, we need to take pride in education, because not only does education liberate us, but the other thing is that education improves our decision making, because you cannot make a proper sound decision in your life without a proper education or without full knowledge on whatever you are deciding on. And so you need some kind of education that is going to help you make sound decisions in your life.
Now, the way you're explaining it about education and saying education is so vital to human life, probably even to youths of our generation, because even our next generation competition is getting high on education basis. Now, there are those young people who say, no, I can make it without education. What is education for? And there are others that discourage others not to go to school because they think it is comfortable for them. They can make money in any sphere of life without even education. And there are others that misinterpret. They think education makes them rich. That's why they have a wrong idea. How do you explain about that one? Because there are others who say, I can make it without education. The others say, education does not make me rich. So why education?
All right, thank you so much. Why education? That is a very, very interesting question and a very important one. Yes, quite all right. I know a few friends, I know a few people in my life that have made it and they've never been to class. But now, I need us to understand that education is not only limited to being in class. That is the number one thing that I need us to understand, that education is not only limited to being in class, though that is very important that one should do what? Should go through class. And now, the other thing that we need to unlearn today is that education, being educated, is not a guarantee of a successful life. That is one thing that we need to understand. Being educated is not a guarantee of living a successful life, or rather, let me say, going through education or being educated does not guarantee being rich or wealthy at the end of the day. There are people that have been to school, there are people that are educated, and yet they are still languishing in poverty, they are still living in misery, and yet they have attained the highest level of education and still do not know how to utilize their education on how they can be rich in this life. So now, education does not guarantee richness, rather, and education does not guarantee wealth in this life. But in as much as education does not guarantee wealth or richness in this life, it is not an excuse as to why someone should not be educated. That is the number one thing. So we need to bear in mind that we should not use education as a means to do what, to be rich or be wealthy at the end of the day, because that education, you might be educated and still live in poverty. That is one that is what we need to understand. And so what we need to bear in mind is that in as much as education does not guarantee richness or wealth in this life, it is not an excuse not to be educated.
All right.
So there are those of us that are going to school with the mentality of living a wealthy life. Now, this is what education is supposed to do to an individual. Education is not supposed to turn you and I into being robots, where we know to say that, okay, since I started to be an IT personnel, and then you want to just live your life in the IT sphere like that, being a robot, like, you know how your life is programmed to say, okay, 8 a.m. I have to be in the office, I'll be in the office until, let's say, 5 p.m. and then come back home and all that. Now, education is not training us, it is not training us into being robots, but education is training us into shaping the way we think.
Oh, wonderful.
Shaping how we look at things. Because it is education that is going to help us look at things in a more different way, and not in the way that we look at certain things.
That's why it liberates us.
That is why it liberates us, and that is why I'll always say that education will always help us make sound decisions.
Wonderful.
Decisions. It improves our decision making, because we make decisions that are informed.
So if someone has a chance to be in school, let them go to school.
If you have a chance to be in school, you have to go to school.
Okay.
If there is an opportunity presented for you to be in school, you have to go to school. Because what school will do for you is much more than what you are going to gain from going to school is much more than just sitting back at home and say, I can be rich without education. Because education is more than money.
Wow. Okay.
This is personal enrichment. And nobody can take that away from you.
The knowledge you gain remains to you.
The knowledge you gain remains with you, and no one can get that away from you. And so when you acquire that knowledge, you are not acquiring that knowledge to be a robot, but you are acquiring that knowledge to liberate yourself, to free yourself. And so this is what education should do to us. When you train as an accountant, when you train as an IT personnel, whichever field that you are trained into, it should not limit you to that field. It should not limit you in that field that you are trained in, but it should be able to liberate you to think outside the box.
It should expose you.
It should expose you, and that is why education increases our social network.
All right.
It presents more opportunities in our lives.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is very, very good. I want to believe you've gotten something out of that. And if you get an opportunity to get educated, use it. Utilize it, because it is for the betterment of your life, betterment of your well-being, betterment of your network. And in this generation, probably even the generation of our children will be more, it would be more of a competition. So you need now to prepare something better for yourself and your children. Let them get exposed, because the way the world is moving, things are moving and favoring mostly to those that are educated, that are exposed. That I want to believe, even if you want to run a business, you should have a knowledge of something. You should have some basic education of something for everything to run successfully. I want to believe so.
For you to run a business, you need to have basic information about the business that you want to venture into, and that requires a bit of education in the business that you want to enter into. Now, the one thing that I want us to come to that I want us to realize,
come to terms with, yes.
We need to come to terms with it. With this, the fact is that the solution to whatever we are struggling with is in our hands. You see, let me give an example. I don't know how they're going to look at this, but you see, with politicians, they'll come to us to make us feel or to make us think as if we need them to solve our problems.
Not knowing that we are the solution for our problems.
We are the solution to our problems. And for you to realize that, it needs you to have an education.
Wow.
So you see the importance of education. You know to say that you don't need to rely on someone to come and solve your problems. And this is what most politicians do. Politicians will come to you, make you think as if you need them to solve your problems. But you don't need no politician to come and solve your problems. And that is why we have this issue of joblessness in our countries in Africa today. More youths graduating every year without jobs.
Thousands of them.
Without jobs. And then they come to us and promise us this and that and that. And then because some of us have not been to school, we follow blindly to say, this one is going to come and make the road. If they are voted in, there are no roads to be seen.
After 5 years, they come and lie again.
They come and lie again. That is because we have not been exposed enough to know that the power to change things in our lives does not belong in the hands of a politician, but it is in our hands. For us to realize that, we need an education.
So in other words, every one of us has the power to change their own life.
Yeah.
So in us, lies power that we can change anything in our life and be a solution to any problems or challenges that we may encounter.
I can confidently say that, yeah, everybody else has that power, but the problem is that some of us are too lazy to utilize that power.
So how do we help those that have become lazy to such culture? Because I believe there's somebody out there watching and thinking, how are they going to find solution? Yes, they've gotten educated, but they've gotten education, but there's no way out. They're still struggling and stressed day in and day out in search of a better and a greener past.
Yeah, there are those of us that have been to school and we've been applying and applying and applying, and we are waiting for probably someone to call us to go and attend an interview. After an interview, then probably an appointment letter, of which that might even take longer than the years that you spent in school.
Yeah.
You probably were in school studying medicine for 7 years, or let's say you were in school doing education, teaching for probably, let's say, 3-4 years, and then you are out there looking for a job. You've applied and applied, you've dropped a number of applications, waiting that probably one company is going to do what? To look at your resume, to look at your application later, and then make a call to you, and then probably go for an interview, and then get an appointment later. Now, this is why I say that education did not train us to be robots. Yes, we are going to apply for jobs. Yes, that is what we know. When you've gone to school, you apply for a job, you are employed, and then you get a salary at the end of the month. But now, this is where we need to begin to change the way we look at things. This is the way we need to begin to reshape our thinking, that we did not go to school only to come and write an application letter and to be employed at the end of the day.
Wow.
Education does more than that. So now, if you've been to school, you need to know that you did not only go to school to train as a teacher, but also to train to be self-reliant.
Okay.
And that is why our sponsors trust us long enough to be able to survive in our universities away from our homes. So from there begins a lesson of being self-reliant. What happens when there's no job? What do you have to do? The problem with us today is that we are looking for white-collar jobs. I've been to school, I cannot go to the shamba. I'm a degree holder, I cannot go and open up a kinyozi. But in the event where there's no job, I mean, that is what we need to do.
You need to get settled. You need to have something to keep
you need to put up something.
Yeah.
If you cannot run, at least you can walk.
Yeah.
If you cannot walk, at least you can crawl. But at the end of the day, what you should be doing is moving.
Something. There should be a movement.
There should be movement. And now, on the point of movement, we need not to confuse progress with movement. You can make some bit of movement without any progress.
Okay.
But every move that we make, we need to ensure that there is progress. And the only way you can be progressing is by doing something every day.
Wow.
I came across this article once to say, there was a post on social media. One person was like, I woke up this morning feeling very lazy to clean my house, but at least I made my bed. And then I woke up feeling lazy to bath, but at least I washed my face. At least 1% of anything that you do is better than 0% of not doing anything. So at the end of the day, we ought to be doing something.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's a very interesting. I know education is so vast and there's a lot involved in it. We cannot exhaust and explain everything. But away from that, education being one of the challenges that is affecting young people today, and seeing the way things are moving, away from education, we may also have the peer pressure. Peer pressure has been one of the greatest calamity in young people. And it comes like Anna cyclone somewhere down south. And when it comes with destruction, because everyone is taken away and driven away. And how best, when you look at it, because peer pressure is very broad. And you find inside, and there is drug abuse, there is this, there is materialism, there's a number of things that young people get into it thinking they are helping themselves. So how does peer pressure affect, and how can we overcome it at the end of the day?
Pastor Mulunda, I came to a realization that we are a sad generation.
Very sad.
That is hiding behind photos on social media.
Because someone gets a picture and they smile, everyone assumes everything is well with them.
But in the real sense, we are a sad generation that is hiding behind photos that we post on
the social medias.
And all because we want to get all those nice comments from people outside. Now, peer pressure has affected us in a way that we want to have what we cannot afford. We don't want to live within our means.
Not only what we can afford, what cannot even sustain us.
What cannot even sustain
And we
us.
even don't know how to get it.
That's the thing.
Just because of a friend.
Just because my friend has it, I also want to have it. Now, life has become a competition.
Wow.
I mean, life is a journey that everyone is walking with different destinations. But we have several youths out there that are doing things simply because their friends are doing them.
So they don't understand that God has a different plan for all of us.
Each one of us has a different destination, and nobody knows where the other is headed to. We are friends.
Yes.
I don't know the plans you have for your next 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I cannot continue doing the things that you are doing just because I want to fit in with you. I have my own journey. I need to have a plan of where I want to see my life in the next 5 years. But it is very unfortunate today. You find a group of youths, you ask them, where do you see your life in the next 5 years? Some of them, they even have no idea.
They live today and today alone.
They live today and today alone. But we need to live our lives as if we have 100 more years. We need to plan our lives as if we have lived
1,000 years.
Yeah, 100 more years ahead of us. But we need to live as if we are dying today. So you
really be keen in every decision we make.
You live as if you are dying today, and then plan as if you have 100 years ahead of you. But we have youths that do not even know how their next 5 years looks like.
But they want to please each and everyone they come across.
They want to please each and everyone they come across. Here is a young man, aimlessly on one morning, he's without any plans for the day, and then he finds his company of friends headed one direction. He joins them, they continue going the direction of his friends. He meets another group of friends that is going in the opposite direction. He leaves this group and joins the other one that is going to a whole different direction, with no purpose at the end of the day, simply because he wants to fit in every company of friends. At the end of the day, he goes home without achieving nothing.
So there are many young people who have no direction.
Yeah, many young people out there,
they don't know what their destiny is.
No.
And they don't understand because their friends are doing something, and because their friends are doing something, they get involved also and follow what their friends are doing.
Exactly that.
And then, from there, we have seen a number of youths who have gone into drug abuse.
Into drug abuse, they have gone into prostitution, into almost everything that they are not meant to do.
Just because of their fellow peers who are doing something.
Exactly, because they want to fit in. You have an iPhone. You have an iPhone 12 Pro Max. I don't know how you got it, but I also want to do everything it takes to get it, so that at least we can be in the same league. But if I can't afford it, why should I kill myself into getting an iPhone 12 Pro Max? If it means using a Techno Camon 11 or Camon 15, let me use it. At the end of the day, we are still communicating. But we have people that are so bothered about how others are progressing in their lives, and we want to do everything possible to reach their league. It's not wrong to be ambitious. As young people, we need to be ambitious. We need to be, actually, I advise my fellow young people to be ambitious, especially to the ladies. Ladies, girls, most of the times, they have it at the back of their minds. No, a man is going to come and marry me, and then
marriage is not an achievement.
He's going to provide everything that I need. No, marriage is not an achievement.
The generation has changed.
Yeah. Neither is marriage a rescue plan to say I'm going to get married. No, we need to be ambitious in this life.
Chase your dreams.
You need to chase your dreams, and you make sure that you live your dreams.
Let not marriage be a rescue plan.
No. Marriage should not be a rescue plan.
So it helps you get somewhere.
Yeah.
Despite that marriage is blessed and it was ordained, yes, we're not discouraging it.
No.
But still, let it not be because I have nothing to do,
no.
Someone is going to take care of me. Chase your dreams, get somewhere.
Don't get married because your friends are getting married. You need to chase your dreams. Live your dreams. Don't do something because your group of friends, they're doing it. There are some of our friends that come from privileged homes. It's easy for them to get things. But when you know where you are coming from, why you have to struggle, you need to live within your means. Don't do things because your friends are doing them. Don't be moved by the multitude. be moved by the decisions that you are making for yourself. We need to be responsible for the choices that we are making. I'm tired of listening to the blame games in this life.
And it is my friend.
Yeah, it is because of him,
because of her, that I made and that decision.
They made me get drunk. They made me undress. They made me do. No,
it is your own
You
decision.
were getting the bottle by yourself, putting it on your mouth, and you drank and you got yourself wasted. We need to begin to be responsible for the choices that we are making, not because people are doing them, but because we chose to do them.
No, they brought me a man.
No,
you hear a lady saying, no, they brought me a man.
They didn't bring a man to you.
They didn't. Probably
you allowed him in your circle.
It is probably even it is you who opened your legs alone. You opened your legs and he entered. So at the end of the day, you say, no, it is because of Jane or Mary or anyone else.
Because you were doing it, trying to fit in the group of friends
who are doing it.
And so you also want to have a story to tell when they are sharing their stories.
You end up finding there are those. I tend to wonder. You find young people are saying, it was this one and this one that made me doing it. And I pause and ask a question. Could it be that they are the same reasoning or they have the same thinking capacity?
No.
And someone said they have refused to say in their life, to say each and every decision I make it because I know the repercussion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing of blaming to say, no, it is Kayaya that made me do this.
Kayaya did not make you do anything. You made that choice by yourself. And that is why we need to stop doing things because our mates, our friends are doing them. But we need to be doing things based on the decisions that we are making, because each one of us at the end of the day needs to be responsible for the choices that they are making. We have so many youths today that are living in a regret. They are looking back at where they did things in a better way. But because of the company of friends, today they are regretting. If it had not been for this and that came into my life, I would be doing something better. No, they came into your life, but you had a choice to allow follow them or do things the way.
So it is you who allowed them in.
Yes, you allowed them.
It was your decision.
It was your decision. So we need to reach an extent where we are making our decisions and become responsible for the decisions that we are making, not blaming the people that we allowed or helped to mess our own life.
Because I understand that whether good or bad, there are consequences.
There are consequences.
Whether you want it or not, there are consequences.
At the end of the day, you're going to suffer the consequences.
So oftentimes people come to say, no, it was peer pressure. You know, it happened this way. No, it happened this way. I didn't want, but friends, how do you become so down that you say, and you find a grown-up person saying that thing?
Yeah, it was peer pressure that led you into sleeping around, but when that HIV virus gets you, you live with the consequences.
And the beauty is, even God forgives. He will forgive. He will forgive the fornication. He will forgive the adultery. He will forgive everything. But the consequence or the repercussion will remain.
It will remain.
The HIV will remain.
This is the goodness about God. God is faithful.
In what He does.
God is very faithful.
He has said it.
He says when you ask for forgiveness, I'll do what?
I'll forgive you. You confess by your lips.
So you live your life being pushed by your friends to sleep around. Yeah,
or you go steal.
Yeah, you go steal and or anything.
And you become a scammer.
God is going to forgive you for whatever you did,
but the consequences will still stand.
You live to suffer the consequences of every decision that you made.
So the blame game of it is John, it was Jane, it was Mary, it was Martha that made us do all this should come to an end.
It needs to come to an end.
We should be responsible of every decision we make.
We need to take responsibility of the things that we do in our lives.
We should be sober-minded.
Because when they were pushing, when they were pushing us to do what they wanted us to do, we also decided to play along. So we were actually accessories to messing our own lives up when we had the privilege to say no to whatever we were being pushed into doing. You cannot live your life blaming people for the wrong choices that you made in your life. You had an opportunity to make the right choice. It's like Jonah. God caused Jonah to go to Nineveh. This is now before I talk about Jonah, I need us to understand that God created us in a way that we are not robots.
No.
Besides the will of God that we are supposed to be doing, God bestowed in each one of us our own personal will.
Freedom of choice.
And He respects our personal will to a degree that He allows us to make our own personal decisions.
All right.
So here is God that has called Jonah to go to Nineveh. Jonah decides within himself to go to Tarshish. And now in Jonah chapter 2, when he is swallowed by the fish, he is swallowed by the fish because of the wrong decisions that he had made in his life. If he had gone to Nineveh, there wasn't going to be the fish there. You get the point? So now he's in the fish because of the wrong choices that Jonah made. And most of us are in hellish moments of life today that are concocted by the wrong choices that we have made in our lives. And so we need to be responsible for the decisions that we are making instead of blaming others for the consequences that we are suffering. Those consequences, we are supposed to suffer them because we were accessories in making those wrong decisions.
We have seen a number of people in peer pressure that went as far as they borrow clothes.
Yeah. Because they want to look nice.
You want to look nice. So that they can fit in a certain society. They can fit with a certain group of people. They go as far as borrowing, and then you go get a phone, you go and borrow a suit, and they do all sorts of things, man.
People will do funny things just because they want to fit in a certain kind of a lifestyle in this world. They'll ask for almost everything. Some will even go an extra mile of hiring cars, and then they pose to appear as if it is their cars. But you see, at some point, some that have borrowed cars, they've not been lucky enough because they've been involved in accidents, and they are supposed to fix those cars.
And now you are paying more.
You are paying more. You get the point. And so in this life, do not exaggerate yourself. To my fellow men out there, like young men that are growing in this in this century, be contented with what you have.
One step at a time.
If your girlfriend is asking for more that you cannot afford, be open enough and tell her, baby, I cannot afford this because I'm still jobless and my business is still struggling. So do not try to impress someone by doing things that you know that you cannot afford. Live within your means.
Sometimes I wonder, these same ladies, I wonder. You know, they ask for things that they cannot ask from their fathers. Things that their fathers have never provided. The way they demand to their boyfriends or their fiancés, they demand more than they're supposed to demand to someone who brought them on earth and nurtured them. So you tend to wonder, at the end of the day, people pushed into a corner. But all in all, we want to say, one step at a time. And make sure that you hold on. Do not let God's hand pass by you. Hold on to it. Trust Him. Get to school, get educated, get exposed, because this will help you in your journey of life as a young person, a young African, because this helps us grow socially, spiritually, in all spheres of life. And you know, sometimes let's not be taken by just a post or a video of 30 seconds where a child is trying to act, or it's a script. Our scripts of life are different. We need to understand that. So when you see a video of 30 seconds, a gentleman is trying to do something to the lady, and you are taken, I wish my man can do that, I wish my lady can do that. It is just a script someone is doing, and you're taken away. At the end of the day, you're forced to go an extra mile that is bringing you into date and all these things. What can you say to the young people as your last words for today?
Let us not be a sad generation that is hiding behind happy pictures on social media. Because yes, they are going to upload us on social media, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to you as an individual.
Wow.
What do you want? What is your purpose? What do you want to achieve at the end of the day?
Wonderful.
And so let us not be a sad generation hiding behind happy pictures, but let us be a happy generation in our own private individual lives, and that is going to help us reach far in this life. Don't do things because everybody in the society is doing them. Make sure that you do not confuse education for wealthy or richness. Don't get educated only to come and write an application letter, but let education reshape your thinking. You can venture into a business even if you did teaching. You can venture into a business even if you did IT or anything else. But whatever you do, you need to be progressing. Do not confuse progress with movement. There can be movement without progress. But you need to ensure that whatever movement you make, there is progress at the end of the day. Thank you so much, and may God bless you, and may God help you through.
It's been an amazing session together with you. We want to thank God for joining us today. Hope we'll meet again next time right on this channel. And glory be to God, because God is faithful. I want to tell you, child of God, today, my fellow young people, that God did not bring you on earth by mistake. The way you were conceived and the way you are brought up may be difficult or what, but because of this, He who started a good thing in you will finish it up to the end, because He's able to do exceedingly abundant above all that we may ask. May God bless you until we meet again. This has been Mulunda Chihoko with Kayaya Jonathan. God bless you, and thank you for joining us. Amen.
Keep watching Voice of Victory TV, leading souls to Christ.